Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Welcome to TheStreet Live. I'm Jeff Marks, standing live on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with Jim Cramer. Jim, before we get into the markets, you just had a huge interview with SEC Chairman Gary Gensler. You spoke crypto, SPACs, AMC, GameStop, Archegos even came up, payment for order flow. Just tell us what you thought about the interview and what he had to say.
I think that you have to understand it's a two-step process for the SEC. They believe that disclosure cures almost everything, but at times it doesn't cure everything. And what I think the overall arching theme of Chairman Gensler was, we got a lot of problems that are not going to be cured by disclosure. For instance, what is a stable coin for Tether? We don't really know, so it doesn't really matter unless we get disclosure about what's inside it, of which they won't give us. It's different. And so in other words, if you're willing to disclose, that's one thing. If you're not willing to disclose, then the SEC is going to take action against you. I felt that was very clear. I think that the people from Coinbase who said that he is doing sketchy things will regret what they said, because basically what he's saying is, listen, we talked to a lot of people. We have a great knowledge about this crypto world, and we know that things have to change. On the actual issue of Robinhood and payment for order flow, I think he made it very clear. Look, there's no free lunch. And you may think you're getting a free lunch, and he also is very clear in saying that perhaps they promote too much trading and not enough investing. Again, not the SEC's typical job. So I think he's doing a lot about educating, and educating may mean rulemaking, and rulemaking may mean change in practice of whether it be Coinbase or Robinhood.
So transparency, big thing there, and no free lunch. That's being commission-free trading. You're getting paid. Maybe you're paying somewhere. Maybe you're not getting the best execution price.
And I know David had a quote from Virtue saying, look, we're still giving you great prices. That is not, or better prices, that is not what Gensler's saying. What Gensler's saying is it's entirely possible for you to get commission-free and not payment for order flow. And that is not what any of these guys are talking about. And it does drive me crazy about the false dichotomy of, well, you're either free commission and therefore you're getting hurt because of payment for order flow, or you're paying for order flow, when Chairman Gensler is saying, listen, it doesn't have to be either one. These brokers should be offering, if they're saying free commission, what they should be saying is no payment for order flow.
All right, Jim, I want to take this conversation and segue into cryptocurrency. Yesterday on Real Money, you said Bitcoin is more of the speculative trade. Meanwhile, gold is for insurance purposes. Now, gold and Bitcoin, they often get linked together as inflation hedges, though Bitcoin has been a much stronger performer than gold. So let's just dive into that conversation, insurance versus speculation.
Well, first, let me explain. I am a huge believer in crypto, but I'm a believer in crypto because I think it's undervalued versus what's in your wallet. Undervalued versus bonds, undervalued versus the amount of paper that's arguably Confederate printing by the Federal Reserve. That said, and Treasury, that said, I think it's a great spec because what you're betting on is that they're going to continue to screw up, that the governments just seem to not have any discipline. Gold is much more about Berlin in 1937. I mean, I don't think people understand that you can put gold in your coat and get out. And I regard gold as an insurance policy against anarchy. I don't regard gold as much of an insurance policy against the Fed, because it hasn't worked. Clearly it hasn't worked. But the idea that physical gold is a hedge is ideal. And remember, the GLD you can't put in your coat. I happen to love it if people buy gold. I am a huge believer that you need to have gold, not illegally, put in many places, because you don't know what's going to happen in the world. We had an insurrection in this country on January 6th. Now, you may favor the insurrection. I'm sure there's a lot of people say, hey, Ben, we always said insurrection. Insurrection to me means gold. It doesn't mean crypto.
All right, Jim, let's hit market. So the past couple of days, you've been saying do not trust the market when it's up, and it's been the right call because we've seen sell-offs later in the day, especially yesterday. Now today, we are seeing a little bit higher. So do you still trust it?
Look, I've been saying don't trust the big openings. Because they're going to bring out sellers. Now, again, I want to reiterate that we're in a seasonally weak period starting September 17th. That's from Larry Williams. Now, understand, even a seasonally weak period, you can make money. I mean, if you're down 6 straight days and the market's oversold, we're only like that, oscillators like -2. You can start buying some things, but as I said last night in Real Money and on TV, it's hard to hang your hat. What are we going to buy? I mean, now look, I see this deal Dutch Brothers is coming public, and I happen to know the product, I know the company. It's one of the few deals that I've seen where I say, hey, that one seems very interesting to me. Maybe I can get into that. Could that be the next Starbucks? I'm looking for the next of something, and I'm not finding enough of them. I'm finding a lot of companies that are basically, I wish they'd go away.
All right, Jim. That's also hit the Apple event yesterday. So obviously they unveiled the Apple iPhone 13. We got new iPads as well, AirPod, the watch. Look, I guess the overall reaction right now is maybe was as expected, not too many new news. Although they did have a 1 terabyte iPhone storage-wise, which could be good for pricing. But what's your takeaway from the Apple event?
My Apple iPhone, my 10 died. I happen to have a spare 10 just because my daughter said, I don't want that. I am happy with my 5. Whatever. And I realized that perhaps what I should have done, or still can do, is go to T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T, which I now regard as pretty much equal. One time I always thought Verizon was much better. And say, okay, who's buying the phone from me? Who's going to give me the phone? I mean, think about it like this. If you knew DraftKings, FanDuel, and MGM, okay? One of them might give you $500 if Macau scores, if Mahomes scores a touchdown. One of them might give you $200. DraftKings gave you $100. Well, I want to be in the one that gives me $500 if Mahomes does, scores a touchdown. First, because he's in my fantasy league. Second, because he crushed it. Sorry.
Yeah. So and with those dealers, they're the ones really selling the iPhones now. That's where you go, and I think
you don't go buy an iPhone for heaven's sake. You go buy a T-Mobile subscription.
And Katie Huberty, she put out in her note that there's about a 5% adoption right now in 5G iPhones. So again, this is a very underpenetrated market right now. 5G is a lot of upgrades coming down the road.
Even Tony Sacconaghi, who does appear a lot on TV, did say, look, you're getting a bit of an annuity stream. I mean, I don't think people realize, unless they use their phone a lot, that your phone, you need a new phone. I mean, everybody needs a new phone, and your phone dies. Let's just bought the 12. So what's happened is that every iteration, even if you think that it doesn't have anything new, is better than yours unless you have the 12. So the idea that you compare it to the 12 is that's just a false dichotomy. You compare it to the 10, it's much better than 10. So I look at it, or the 5 that my daughter has. Maybe she'll bite. I look at it as, okay, new chance to buy, and a telephone company's going to pay for me, so I'm going to go buy it. Why not upgrade your phone if it doesn't cost you anything?
Yeah, my personal opinion, the amount of times people spend on their phones these days, why wouldn't you want the best of the best? Now, Jim, I do want to go to Microsoft next.
3.5 hours yesterday.
What was that?
3.5 hours I spent on my phone.
There you go. That's a lot of time. Even.
Yeah. Well, half of that was waiting for my wire to clear, my waiver wire to clear.
Yeah, well, in fantasy football, especially on 5G, you want to make sure you're up to the date as quick as you can be.
Example. Let's actually, not to be facetious, okay. We all know that there's a lot of interactive gaming, all right, whether it be in fantasy or whether it be in fact. And you don't want latency. I had Latavius Murray trade away from me because I had latency the other day. And I regret that I didn't have 5G. Whoever was in our league who had 5G beat me to Latavius. But then again, he sucks.
Well, there you go. All can be avoided with a 5G phone. Now, Jim, I want to talk about Microsoft next. They did increase the dividend as expected yesterday by that Morgan Stanley analyst. They also announced a $60 billion share repurchase program. Now, how is this incremental to Microsoft? Would you be a buyer off this news?
We do own it, big position for us. Here's what I think. In order to be able to do a $60 billion buyback, what that says is that your niggling little price increases that you put through are generating a giant amount of cash. And so I think it's a precursor to an amazing quarter. It's good to see that. The analyst that we talked about yesterday was just looking for a dividend hike, so this is good news.
Yeah, and Microsoft, they did increase prices on Windows. I believe it was a couple weeks ago. It's the first time, I believe, ever they announced a price like that.
They can get away with it because we're all jammed with it, right? Have you ever noticed that you hate what you're jammed with, but you love what you buy?
Yeah. All right, Jim, I do want to talk about the Rivian now. So they had their first, it's the first electric vehicle maker to roll off that fully electric pickup truck. Now, obviously, there's going to be competition with Tesla's Cybertruck. Ford, GM are going to have products as well. So is this a big threat? Is Rivian a big threat? I know Ford has a big investment in Rivian as well.
I think that Rivian is a threat, but not a big threat, because I'm sure that, like everybody else, they can't get the parts that they need. Maybe they claim they have them, but I don't know if they can scale. Look, today we got a recommendation of Lucid. So where we are right now is I think these companies are coming out. I'm waiting for Fisker. I think Fisker, I saw the IR of Fisker last night at Bar San Miguel. I'm waiting for Fisker to make the news. It's Fisker, it's Lucid, and it's Rivian. Those are the three that I'm most excited about. Pick one. Pick one if you're interested in that group.
And Jim, I heard you talking earlier, you had a message from Jim Farley about this Argo autonomous with a partnership with Walmart.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all been waiting for driverless cars that do something. And Argo has a terrific driverless car program, Ford. They paired up with a great partner, according to Jim Farley and Walmart, and they're going to be doing deliveries. And it's about time. I mean, I think that I've always felt that a driverless car is safer than a driver car because of how many people are inebriated or tired.
All right, Jim, we have to talk about what's going on with the casinos, especially the ones that operate in Macau. They're getting hit for the second day in a row. We're going to have much more analysis on Wynn Resorts over at Action Alerts Plus later, but a lot of concerns about regulation, what that means to the potential numbers. Just what's your take on this day two sell-off here?
Okay, today it's overdone. And I'm basing that on the work that you can get if you subscribe to Action Alerts, because we have been frantically, but I think rigorously, giving you a valuation that discounts tremendous haircuts to Wynn. I have not heard they want to confiscate Wynn. Also remember, and you got to be careful, this is not Alibaba. This is a company that has substantial American assets. It's also an American company. And the idea that if the Chinese are just to confiscate that wealth, I think the Chinese recognize that there could be repercussions that they haven't experienced yet. There are, yes, I'm sure they want to regulate the junkets better and they want common prosperity, but they have always, even when Steve Wynn used to talk about this, they have always in the end favored the growth of Macau. And this is the way you kill growth. Now, a lot of people are saying, Jeff, that they want to kill growth everywhere. That's not true. They can't. If you kill growth everywhere, historically, there's been worry about a revolution. So I think that our worst case scenario that you can get, and it's very rigorous again, if you subscribe to Action Alerts, will tell you everything you need.
Yeah, and just to take a step back for a moment, right now the headlines are ugly, the price action is even worse. But you value, if you value a company on a sum of the parts, that helps you kind of take a step back and kind of block out some of the noise, some of the price action that's going on, really understand how much a company is worth.
Well, look, I was watching Wynn trade down 8, 9. I was trading down 6 this morning early. And I said, okay, this is down, but just based on fear. No one is putting pencil to paper except for us.
Yeah, we'll have that analysis posted to Action Alerts Plus later today. We're going to leave it right there. For today, that's the show, everyone. We'll go to the Action Alerts Plus video right after this.